What if the first words humanity ever wrote were not a beginning at all? What if these tablets are not the dawn of a new age, but the final testimony of a time that was coming to an end? In the silent deserts of southern Iraq, the weight of sand covers history. Yet beneath these collapsed walls and wind-swept plains, tens of thousands of clay fragments wait, holding their breath. Each one filled with wedge-shaped signs pressed into wet clay like bird tracks. We call this cuneiform, the oldest known record of human thought. But there is something strange about these tablets because they do not read like a beginning. It all started in the late 1800s when European archaeologists dug near the ancient city of Uruk. They didn't just find building foundations. Inside dusty rooms, they found thousands of clay tablets carefully stacked and cataloged. When scientists finally deciphered the language, they were shocked. What they read was not the clumsy attempts of a primitive tribe just learning to write. They found tax records, complex medical prescriptions, legal codes, and the movements of the stars. History books gave them the name Sumerians. But from the moment that name appeared, something in our historical timeline began to crack. Because civilizations are not supposed to start this way. History loves slowness. The transition from stone tools to bronze, from village to city, takes thousands of years. But Sumer skips rehearsal entirely. Around 3500 BC, it appears at an archaeological speed we could almost call overnight. Urban planning, sewage systems, monumental architecture, and the base 60 mathematical system we still use to measure time today, all fully developed and ready. Where did the Sumerians get this knowledge? The tablets themselves tell their story clearly. After kingship descended from heaven, kingship was in Eridu. This is not an invention story. This is a restoration story. Imagine being in a museum archive. You pick up a 5,000-year-old tablet. If you look closely enough at some of them, you can see it. A fingerprint, left there before the clay had dried by a Sumerian scribe, a human older than the pyramids. That scribe was trying to send a message to the world that would come after him. Among what he wrote are tables tracking the movements of Venus with telescope-like precision, and formulas calculating irrational numbers. And in nearly every text, one theme appears again and again: the world before the flood, a lost golden age where knowledge flowed freely, and where beings who came from the heavens acted as teachers to humanity. It is easy to dismiss mythology, but when archaeologist Leonard Woolley excavated the ancient city of Ur, he didn't find mythology, he found geology. Between the layers of the city was a clean 2-meter-thick sheet of clay. This was alluvium brought by a massive flood, not just in Ur, in Kish, in Shurapak. Throughout the entire region, the same layer existed, a disaster that completely reset civilization. The Sumerians were not imagining things, they were documenting everything they built, every ziggurat, every tablet, was an attempt to recover a memory erased by that great catastrophe. The greatest proof lies hidden in the Sumerian king list. The list names the kings before the flood. Alulim ruled for 28,800 years, Alalangar for 36,000 years. These numbers are impossible, but then the text suddenly shifts. After the flood swept over everything, kingship was lowered from heaven again. And from that moment on, the lifespans of kings returned to normal human durations, into the history we recognize today. Were those immense pre-flood spans biological lifetimes? Or were they astronomical ages, cosmic cycles the Sumerians were measuring? Someone had watched the sky long enough to track such cycles. So who gave them this knowledge? Sumerian creation myths do not read like magical fairy tales. They read like laboratory reports. When the gods create humans, they perform trial and error, faulty prototypes, failed attempts. The texts say they mixed the clay with the divine essence. They call this Te'ema, the essence of life, and they give their teachers a single name, the Anunnaki, those who came down from the heavens. Not abstract gods, but beings who ate, drank, taught, governed. Maybe the Anunnaki were not deities to be worshipped. Maybe they were the survivors of the flood, the teachers who restarted civilization. We expect the Sumerians to say, "We invented civilization." Instead, they insist, "No, we only restored it." The thousands of tablets waiting in the dark of museum archives are filled with stories yet unread. But that fingerprint on the clay reaches out to us from 6,000 years ago. It whispers that history is not an act of beginning, but an act of remembering. And perhaps it is finally time we listened to them